Hello friends, welcome to Chandu HR Studio. Actually, I try to figure out one of tagline to my HR Studio. If you have any idea about it, please let me know in my comment box. So, welcome you to Chandu HR Studio, a new concept-based HR channel will help you to rise in your HR career. Okay, let's get into our new video. So today we are discussing about labor legislations with practical explanations part 2. Earlier in part 1 we have discussed about the labor legislations, origin, concept and Indian perspective. At the last of that video we have discussed about amalgamation of new codes. So today we are going to discuss on Code on Wages 2019, an amalgamation of various wage laws into a single code. In today's topics, we are going to cover in this video Code on Wages Introduction, World and Indian Perspective, Stages in Formulation of Acts into a Single Code, Brief of Sections in this code, New Changes in this code, Applicability of Code, Practicality of the Code. So in earlier video, I have asked one question. For that question, answer is he is Lord Ripon. He was the man who worked for the betterment of native Indians and wanted to expand and improve the conditions of education in the country. He is the first person who passed the First Factors of India in 1881. The act prohibited the working children below the 7 years and limited number of working hours for children below 12 years. This act also made provision for 1 hour break during the working period and 4 monthly holidays for the employment. So today I'm going to ask this question: who is in this picture and what his major contribution in human resource arena? So try to answer in my comment box by hashtag Chandu HR Studio. So let's begin the video. Labor codes, intro and world perspective. So what is this labor code and who started this labor code and when? The labor code was introduced in the era of 1918 by USSR, then Russia, to enhancing the right to work in their country. This code was improved the maintenance of workforce data, employment records in Russia also. Including Russia, various socialist countries who were the members of the past USSR also introduced the labor codes in their countries. And after the World War, Germany, Poland and Hungary codified their labor reforms with the same set of rules as earlier. Canada also introduced the labor codes by suppressing the Industrial Relations and Dispute Investigation Act of 1948 of their country. So this a small world perspective of labor code. When it comes to Code on Wages introduction for our country, India, as an objective of amend and consolidate the laws related to wage, including bonus and matter connected and incidental thereto, the Code on Wages formulated in the era of 2019, 8th of August. Before the code, we have 4 labor laws related to wages, and those are repealed with this code, and most of the existing sections and rules of the 4 laws are transferred in this code and some amendment also placed. This code is aimed to satisfy the 50 crore workforce in our India. Those are in the work of development of nation and make this India mission. As per Honorable Labour Minister, the prime objective of the code is to getting timely wages and covering the code to weaker section of employments like unorganized workforce irrespective of wage criteria and ceiling. This code contains the 4 laws in order from one by one. Start with the fixation of minimum wages, ends with bonus payment and matters connected with thereto. So this is the some of the introduction of the Code of Wages. So how the Code on Wages formulation? So these are the steps which have followed to implement the Code on Wages in our country. So as per the PM Sir Sri Narendra Modi ji view on consolidation of 44 labor laws in different codes, he thought in 2015. The Ministry of Labour and Employment record held meetings with consultations and various state governments and tripartite consultation, like what you call tripartite: government, employee and employers. In the leadership of Sri Narendra Modi sir, the Union Labour Minister Sri Santosh Gangwar introduced the Code on Wages in Parliament on 10th August of 2017. The bill was sent to Parliamentary Standing Committee for scrutiny and recommendation. The committee submitted its reports with 24 recommendations on 18th December 2018. Out of 24, 17 was incorporated in this bill. The process of bill to code was passed because of uh, dissolution of 16th Lok Sabha due to general elections. And again the bill was reintroduced in 23rd July 2019. The bill was passed by the Lok Sabha on the day of 30 month of July in the year of 2019. So this code on wages was passed by Lok Sabha on 30th July 2019. And after that this bill was sent to upper house like Rajya Sabha on 2nd August 2019. Finally, the code on wages bill got assent of our Honorable President Sri Ramnath Kovind sir on 8th August 2019, and the same day Gazette was published. So normally the signing day of the President will be the Gazette date also. From that date the act will come into force. So once act passed, they will call for the rules. So the draft rules was open for feedback and suggestions from general public on 7th July 2020. From that day to 45 days. So as expected, from September 2020, the code was in force and started in force also. So what is the contents of this code? So this code contains 9 chapters with comprised of 69 sections. First chapter discusses about the preliminary section that contains definition of various nomenclatures or terms. Second chapter discusses about the minimum wages and its fixation. What are the Minimum Wage Act 1948 we have that was codified into the second chapter. Then third chapter will discuss about the Payment of Wages Act 1936 and the deduction of wages both in statutory and non-statutory. What are the various sections we have in the Payment of Wages Act that will be incorporated in the third chapter. When it comes to fourth chapter, it discusses about the Payment of Bonus Act 1965 and the calculation of set off and set on. So this is the very crucial part of the bonus, how to calculate the set off and set on. So that we will cover in our upcoming videos also. Fifth chapter discuss about the appointment of various bodies like wages like CAB, SAB. CAB stands for Central Advisory Board, SAB stands for State Advisory Board. Then comes to sixth chapter, discuss about the payment of dues, claims and audit. Seventh chapter discuss about the appointment, duties and powers of inspector cum facilitators for enforcement of this code. The eighth chapter discuss about offences and related penalties under this code. Ninth chapter is called miscellaneous. This chapter will discuss about various related provisions pertaining to code on wages. Those are not discussed in the above chapters. What are the new changes in this code? So as I said earlier, this code simplifies the wage laws into one and enforcement of this code become easy also. So many wages, workers, employees, employer definitions were consolidated and unified, instituted in the same classification were instituted from the various acts. And there was quite change also. As earlier, the revision of minimum wages was at an interval of 5 years. This was become very rigid on various governments, that not to revise the minimum wages even if the emergency or any event necessary also, they can't change the minimum wages up to 5 years. Now this definition was redefined as ordinarily at an interval of not exceeding 5 years. That means not exceeding 5 years means you can change within the 5 years also whenever there is a necessary, but before the 5 years and after completion of 5 years you have to change. So this definition was quite perspective when compared to present scenario like pandemic situations and all. The earlier in the wage laws, the term inspector was redefined as an inspector cum facilitator. This enforces the competent authority to enforce the code and suggest a personals to handle the code in a strict way. So earlier there is a class for the inspector who can visit and inspect organizations, establishment about the minimum wages implementation, payment of wages implementation, bonus act implementation, equal remuneration act investigations and all. So when it comes to the inspector term, it could be a strict way and there is no scope for the what you called digitalization of the inspector duties and all. So this inspector cum facilitator will help you to keep up with the applicability of this code and how to get the 100% statutory also. What is this applicability of the code? This code applicable to all employees, workers or employers except armed forces and apprentices. So those are the services. Armed forces we cannot include as an employer or employee or a worker also. That is the utmost services for any personnel to this country. And this code unifies the India with a full of applicability. Earlier there is a class of the except Jammu and Kashmir that was omitted, and now India became whole and any code will be unifies the India with a single code. In this code there is a schedule E which refers to a category of employees including agricultural workforce, and central and state governments added a new class of employment. Approx 1700 employments are covered in this code. That means they increased the applicability of the code in terms of category of workman or class of employments. And the floor wages was fixed according to the conditions of work, skill pertaining to various and different geographical conditions, and this will help ensure to more transparent and fairness in fixing of minimum wages also. Normally wages will fixed according to the category, skill required for the work to be completed and all. In this context, different geographical conditions and difficulty level also. So with this applicability, the state governments embedded with this code, they cannot reduce the floor wages which was mentioned and modified by the central government in a central perspective. They can give above them are the same as mentioned by the floor wages, but they cannot give below the mentioned floor wages. So practicality of the code. When it comes to practicality of this code, first of all we have to look at this code in a broader perspective and need to study the wage conditions and geographical conditions of the states in our India. Normally wage rates are fixed for 5 upcoming years with consultation, recommendation of various stakeholders in the society through CAB and SAB. And what about the VDA? The VDA means variable dearness allowance will alter or change for every 6 months with inculcation of CPI points. What is the CPI points? CPI point means consumer price index. This consumer price index will be calculated based on the inflation rate and economical perspective for every 6 months, and the CPI points, based on the CPI points, VDA will change means it will increase. So every 6 months labor force will get some of the increase in wages from that period of 6 months. What are the periods? 1st April and 1st October of every year. So compared to central, state wages are low in some states and high in states because of the industrial and geographical conditions. So as you know that India is a vast country with cultural and workforce diversifical changes. So with that effect, some of the states have more wages than the central, some of have very less compared to central and all. So this code will maximum looking up to minimize the differences, and if it is better to be equal, even though anywhere in our India for category of workman will get as equal as pay, that is better for my opinion. So further to this code unifies the forms and register wages of fines, overtime deductions for damage and loss in Form I, register of employees in Form 4, and wage slips in Form 5. When we discuss about the practicality of this code, we need to instigate our mind to think about vast cultural, geographical and workforce diversity of our country, as I said earlier. Due to this instance, the center stipulated in this code to while fixing of minimum wages, the respective government should keep in the mind the skill requirements and the difficulty level of work, as I said earlier. The appointment of inspector cum facilitator will help the organization or employers to facilitate the code in proper way and due to randomization. Randomization means work allocation through digital media only. So one inspector will get today based on the work allocation and roster to visit or investigate any organization that depend upon these roster and work schedule. So with this digital mode, we can think about less scope for malpractice, reduced unprofessional work. Uh, Everybody know what is unprofessional work in this enforcement of this code. The zone and industry-wise minimum wages are still active, and recently, Government of India revised the new minimum wages with effect from 1st October 2020. There is a word in applicability of earlier wages, I said earlier. Different types of minimum wages, and employer will find the way to get the workman or labor with low cost as legally, because there is a huge workforce diversity in India. Maybe I hope this code will reduce or decrease or omit that kind of differences in the fixing of minimum wages, and equal pay for equal work anywhere India will implement soon. Uh, I salute to the lawmakers who are struggling every walks of their professional working day to reduce all the imparities what we are facing now, and I hope so this code will help the workforce who are the backbone of our Indian economy and help them to raise in their living condition and working condition also. As an annexer, I just want to share some of a calculation of minimum wages in a central perspective. I choose three industries. First of all, when it comes to agricultural, uh, as you know, India is divided for the wage purpose in three zones: A zone, B zone, and C zone. So these are the figures. Normally, any person will get gross wages. This wage was not deducted by the PF and all, and 8 hours. There is no OT. I am calculating because OT will differ. So this is about the agricultural industry. So I will spare 1 or 2 seconds to get you know about this Excel sheet. Okay. When it comes to next industry, I have taken mines. So mines will divide it into two: below the ground and above the ground. So this is the figures. And again, I'm mentioning this is the gross wages. I have not deducted the PF and any other deductions. And 26 days, 8 hours a day. This is for the construction. So finally we reached to summary. So summary means what we have learned in this video synthesized into a small para. So in this video we have learned about code on wages, a concept for Indian labor force, and which is a new concept also. We have learned with the world perspective how the labor codes in different countries and how our code on wages formulated. A brief setup of sections with chapters and important forms, new changes in code, applicability and practicality of the code on wages, calculation of minimum wages with a latest revision of VDA from 1st October 2020. Industry wise, I have chosen agricultural, mines and construction. So as a regular practice. And note, Swami Vivekananda once said that all knowledge that the world has ever received comes from their mind. The infinite library of the universe is in our own mind. So, trigger your mind and get your what you want. Keep success. Success need hard work. Hard work need focus. So in next video, part 3, I am going to discuss about code on social security. Till then, please subscribe, share and like my channel, Chandu HR Studio. Thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe and tap on bell icon for more videos and notification. Myself DVSS Chandu, BA MHRM Andhra University, Vizag. My mobile number and email ID already mentioned in this video. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Jai Hind.